So mental models are all the rage. Everyone's trying to become smarter by adopting mental models. I think mental models are interesting, but I don't think explicitly in terms of a mental model checklist. That's just not how I think. Instead, I tend to focus on the few lessons that I've learned in life over and over that I think are incredibly important and seem to apply almost universally. One that keeps coming up is the principal agent problem. The principal agent problem. The principal agent problem. A principal is an owner, and an agent is the person who works for the owner. I can summarize this by a famous quote that either was said by Napoleon or by Julius Caesar. If you want it done, then go. If not, then send. If you want to do something right, do it yourself, because other people just don't care enough. Now, the principal agent problem pops up everywhere. The principal's incentives are different than the agent's incentives. So the owner or the business wants what is best for the business and will make the most money. The agent generally wants whatever will look good to the principal, or might make them the most friends in the neighborhood, or might make them personally the most money. Agents have a way of hacking systems. The principal agent problem. The principal agent problem. This is what makes incentive design so difficult. If you could be working on incentives, Charlie Munger says, don't work on anything else. Almost all human behavior can be explained by incentives. The study of signaling is seeing what people do despite what they say. People are much more honest with their actions than they are with their words. You have to get the incentives right to get people to behave correctly. It's a very, very difficult problem. The good people aren't purely coin operated. They're not just looking for money. They're also looking for other things like status or meaning in what they do. The principal agent problem. The principal agent.
Yo, what's up, hello? How you doing, man?
Principal agent problem is the one that as a business owner, you're always going to be trying to figure out, how do I make this person think like me? How do I incent them? How do I give them founder mentality? If you are a principal, you want to take your top lieutenants and you want to be very generous with them in terms of ownership and incentives, even if they don't necessarily realize it, because over time they will. Finally, if you're in a current role where you're an agent, you're an employee, your most important job is to think like a principal. The more you can think like a principal, the better off you're going to be long term, because it's training you how to be a principal long term, and eventually you will
Just
become
chilling,
a
officially a year older today. Is it your birthday?
or empower you or give you accountability or leverage way out of proportion to what might be your menial role. The principal agent problem. The principal agent problem. Principal agent problem. The principal agent problem. The principal agent problem.
Nice, happy birthday, man.
If you can hack your way through the principal agent problem, you've probably solved half of what it takes to run a company.
Any celebration?
If you're an agent, the best way to operate is just say, what would the founder do? If you think like the owner and you act like the owner, it's only a matter of time until you become the owner.
Just another day? So why not celebrate it, man?
This is from Friedrich Nietzsche. Now, of course, you probably know that he was the philosopher who announced the death of God. What he meant by that was that the fundamental metaphysics that underlie Western culture had lost their foundation. And that the consequence of that would be the disintegration of the idea of value itself.
It's fine.
especially of value hierarchies. He thought of the inevitable consequence of that, or one of the inevitable consequences of that, a dramatic move towards a doctrine of radical equality.
So, what level did you hit?
Value distinction between things, so that no one thing is not any better than another. Then there's no reason for hierarchies of virtue or of value. And so the equality doctrine is a logical outcome. So here's what he wrote about that.
24. Nice. Going into that boomerang, dude. Fuck that shit. Don't get caught up in terms and stupid stereotypes and definitions.
Wherever you bite, black scabs grow. Your poison makes the soul whirl with revenge.
24 is like,
You in a parable. You who make souls whirl. You preachers of equality.
I think it's not something to do with age, right?
But I shall bring your secrets to light. Therefore I laugh in your faces. My laughter of the heights. Therefore I tear at your webs, that your rage may lure you out of your lie holes, and your revenge may leap out from behind your word. Justice. For that man be delivered from revenge. That is for me the bridge.
So you are a Leo as well?
The tarantulas, of course,
Look at Ronaldo hitting bicycle kicks at 39, yeah.
this means to us is precisely that the world be fit.
I mean, I'm not even talking about physical activity.
We shall reap
You are Leo, the sign, astrological sign.
thus to the tarantula heart's vow. And will to equality
Is it Leo or is it different in Hindu?
forth be the name for virtue.
I honestly don't know much. It's like, I think I look into Chinese astrology once.
You preachers of equality.
And what else? I think there's Indian signs.
Clamors thus out of you for equality. Your most secret ambitions to be tyrants thus shroud themselves in words of virtue. A grieved conceit, repressed envy, perhaps the conceit and envy of your fathers, erupt from you as a flame, and as the frenzy of revenge. What was silent in the
Virgo. You're paying attention to that.
And I often found the Son, the unveiled secret of the Father. They are like enthusiasts, but it is not the heart that fires them, but revenge. And when they become elegant and cold, it is not the spirit, but envy that makes them elegant and cold. Their jealousy leads them even on the paths of thinkers, and this is the sign of their jealousy. They always go too far. Till their weariness must in the end lie down to sleep in the snow. Tarantulas. 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 Out of every one of their complaints sounds revenge. In their praise there is always a sting. And to be a judge seems bliss to them. But thus I counsel you, my friends, mistrust all in whom the impulse to punish is powerful. They are people of a low sort and stock. The hangman and the bloodhound. The hangman and the bloodhound. The hangman and the bloodhound. silenced all who talk much of their justice. Verily, their souls lack more than honey, and when they call themselves the good and the just, do not forget that they would be Pharisees
Well, yeah, I mean,
if only they had
doesn't have any practical effect in your life, right?
do not want to be mixed up and confused with others. Some preach my doctrine of life and are at the same time preachers of equality.
Honestly, I only remember it when someone mentions the birthday or
These poisonous spiders
when it's my birthday.
with their backs turned on life. They speak in favor of life, but only because they wish to hurt.
Usually, girls are into that stuff. Like astrology and all that. I don't even know.
They wish to hurt those who now have power. For among those, the preaching of death is still most at home. If it were otherwise, the tarantulas would teach otherwise. They themselves were once the foremost slanderers of the world, and murderers, and heretics. I do not wish to be mixed up and confused with these preachers of equality.
So you're not gonna eat cake? No birthday cake?
Another way of talking about the web is that there are different levels of magnification. For example, supposing you take a piece of embroidery, and here it is, obviously in front of you, an ordered and beautiful object. Then you take out a microscope and you look at the individual threads.
Not many people.
At a certain point, as
You know my birthday, so it goes
you'll get
by.
a hopeless tangle. It doesn't make any sense at all. The wrapped fiber that constitutes the thread is a mess. Hasn't been organized, nobody did anything about it. But at the level of magnification at which you actually see it with the naked eye, it's all been organized. It's all been organized. It's all been organized. It's all been organized. All right, now keep turning up that microscope. Take one of those individual threads in the fiber that seems to be so chaotic and go into the constitution of that. And again, you will find fantastic order. You'll find the most gorgeous designs of molecules. Then to keep turning it up, and again at a certain level you'll find chaos again. All right, keep going, and at another level you'll find this marvelous order. Now you see, order and randomness constitute, in other words, the warp and the woof, where everything is in order, everything's under control. In randomness, it's all been organized. It's a mess. 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 But we wouldn't know what order was unless we had messes. It's the contrast of order and messes that order itself depends upon. And so in exactly the same way, it is the contrast of on and off, there and not there, In other words, life and death, being and non-being, that constitutes existence. Only we pretend that the random side of things, the disorderly side of things, could possibly win in the game of competition, or I would rather call it collaboration between the two. When you lose sight of the fact that the order principle and the random principle go together, that's exactly the same predicament as losing
I'm also
sight
very good
of the
with,
fact that all
not very good, very bad with
things and
names and
are
birthdays.
connected underneath.
So usually
Just like
people
mountains stick out of
who
the
care
earth and
too
the
much
sun
about
and
that
all
stuff
that.
get upset
So all
with
of
me.
us, there's different things we
Like,
stick out of reality.
oh, you didn't
And
remember
there's
my
continuity
birthday.
underneath, but you ignore that. See, that's the thing that's left out. It's all been organized.
I'm
It's a
like,
mess.
dude,
It's all been
I
organized.
even forget my
It's a
birthday.
mess. It's all been organized. It's a 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 mess. See, I'm just giving you many examples of the same principle.
Literally the opposite. I don't remember my own, but I remember every other person's. Yeah.
Never under compulsion, out of selfishness, without forethought, nor distractions, with misgivings, let no affectation veneer your thinking. No selfless words or unnecessary actions, let
When's yours? It's 4th January. It's like in the middle of the winter. I'm a winter kid. Nice, yeah. It's like, you know, I like it. I like it being close to New Year's Eve. Also, a lot of people in my family has close birthdays, so it's like celebration time. Must be fun, yeah. It's like lots of cake.
Akira. He's got clout.
You know the old question. If a tree crashes in a forest, and there is nobody around to hear it, is there a noise? This question has been discussed in many futile ways. But noise, basically, is a state of affairs that requires an eardrum and an audio nervous system behind the eardrum. When when the tree falls, it makes the air vibrate. If there is anywhere around an ear with the appropriate nervous system, there will be a noise. Because noise is a relationship between motion in the air and ears. If there is not any ear around, there won't be any noise, although there will be vibration in the air. And if there is some instrument around, such as a microphone attached to a tape recorder, there will be noise. There will be a vibration. There will be light. In the darkness. In the same way, let's suppose the sun sends out light into space. Now, the space surrounding the sun will be black darkness, as if there were no light in it, unless a planet happens to float by. When a planet floats by, there will be light.
I'll do some work. See you later. Alright, man. Happy birthday.
But if there isn't anything
Uh,
to relate to the sun,
treat yourself. Do some little celebration.
then comes no light.
And enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll see you later.
Now this goes right down to the root and ground of everything. It goes down to the essence of your nerves, your whole being. That it's all an interdependence. There will be noise. There will be a vibration. There will be light. In the darkness, there will be noise. There will be a vibration. There will be light. In the darkness. And that's why one of the basic symbols of the universe is the Chinese yin-yang symbol, which you know is a circle with an S curve in the center. One side of the S is black, the other is white. So it makes, as it were, two commas or two fishes. And the eye of the fish is the opposite color. The white fish has a black eye, the black fish has a white eye, curling in on each other. Now this thing is called a helix. And that is the fundamental form of the galaxies, the great nebulae we see out in space. And this is basically too the position of sexual intercourse. This is lovemaking. And this is, you know, when you hold hands and so on. This is it. This is it. There will be noise. There will be a vibration. There will be light. In the darkness, there will be noise. There will be a vibration. There will be light. In the darkness.
Yo, what's up, TK? Palav's birthday, yeah.
Involved,
But he refuses to celebrate.
and the two are secretly one.
Getting the grill ready? Ooh. Crazy, today is mine
So I'm
too.
gonna tell you today about
Are you the same person? Are you guys the
different from
same person with logging in with different characters like in the video game?
the standard scientific view of the world, of course, is that it's made up of familiar
What's going on?
objects,
Is
and
it?
that the world is in essence
Are we in a simulation?
material place. But there's some
You found me.
limitations of that viewpoint, despite the fact that it's given us tremendous power. And the limitations are essentially as follows. The essential materialist view can't tell us anything about consciousness, which is probably the primary fact of experience.
Nah.
Essential
I mean, I've talked to you. We played some games with Pallav as well. So unless you use voice changer and accents changer, you are not the same person. How's your weekend? It's all good.
progress. Not only do
It's
neuroscientists
calm.
understand virtually nothing about consciousness, they can't even really figure out what its function is. They can't understand why our brains would go to so much effort to make us aware of things when it isn't clear at all that awareness is necessary for life, especially given that there are many life forms on the planet that don't seem to be aware at all. The essential materialist view can't tell us anything about consciousness, which is probably the primary fact of experience. The essential materialist view can't tell us anything about consciousness, which is probably the primary fact of experience. The standard materialist view is also insufficient in many other ways. It's insufficient philosophically, I think, as you probably all know, because a conception that portrays the world as made up of objects is in some really fundamental way dead. Right? It doesn't seem to have a place in it for human beings, or a place in it for meaning, or a mode whereby you might be able to conceptualize the real existence of something like an emotion or a dream or a motivation. All phenomena which are just as mysterious to neuroscientists and to scientists in general as consciousness. Now, the problem with this seems to be mostly experiential. If you have to ask people what they know more than anything else, they know, number one, that they're conscious. They know, number two, that their internal experiential life is composed of emotions and motivational states, which, although not rational in essential structure,
Definitely not Pallav. Reverse digits in the age. Add one.
is predicated
What is it? 24? 42? Are we 43?
essential materialist view can't tell us anything about consciousness, which is probably the primary fact.
Nice. So,
Essential materialist view
okay, you are already in a new season.
probably the primary fact of experience.
Or are you 43 today? Or you were 43?
So our current
Today, okay.
viewpoint, despite its ability to give us tremendous technological
So,
power,
you know how it
seems
goes?
to eradicate
It's
from
like
formal consideration
7
many
years
essential
is the
experiences
cycle.
that are vital to life. In fact,
7
even
years
perhaps
is like
primary.
one season, like winter, summer.
I'm going to
like
suggest
that.
to you today
So
that
7
there's an alternative viewpoint, and I think also
times
it's one that, although you may be hearing about
7,
formally
7,
for the first time, is also something that
14,
you know
21,
unbelievably deeply.
28, 35, 42. So 49, you are here. And these are all different seasons, right? You know, if you look at it, it sounds like sounds like one of those what is it called? You know, those weird astrology prophecy shit like that. It sounds like that, but it really has some base, right? if you look at it from any perspective, like neurologically, biologically, psychologically. For example, 0 to 7 is like, you know, a stage in child's development, right? And then 14, you are in adolescence. 21, you are considered an adult. You know how they say 35 is the middle of the road, stuff like that. And these are, you know, this concept comes from, you know, what is it? Our ancients, and they knew their shit, right? So it's like 4. Yeah. So yeah, you are in a new season. Or 42. So after I learned about this, I really did an audit in my life, and there are always repeating patterns, and you know, they all what we call intersect with these cycles, right? It's insane. I also read somewhere, it's like people do crazy shit in the ages that ends with 9, right? 19, 29, 39, 49. It's like, you know, 29. This is also, you know, backed by science. It comes from some, I don't know, research from behavior sciences or something like that. It's like people take bigger risks in these ages, right? So I think I've heard it from one of the marketers, right? So yeah, you can sell specific products to these people, right? Like 39 is, you know, people having midlife crisis, something like that. I mean, I'm 39, but I don't feel any crisis. Maybe it's gonna hit later, I don't know. Unless you are unlucky enough to have a crap family, everyone lives childhood. But personally, that middle stage, 21 to 35, was honestly the time of my life. You are too chill for crisis. Maybe because I, you know, how do you call it? I mean, I would be really destructive if I didn't work out, right? That kind of calms me down. $21 to $45, yeah. I think 25 to 30. Oh, sorry, you said 21 to 35. I think 25 to 30 is like the best, right? You have lots of energy, like you are young, and at the same time you know enough. You are not a kid, you are an adult, and at the same time you have lots of energy.
One step beyond logic. One step beyond logic. One step beyond logic. There is in all things a pattern that is part of our universe. It has symmetry, elegance,
Still
and
young
grace.
enough, but on your own, doing your own
Those
thing. Yeah.
qualities you find
Young
always
adult, right?
in that which the true
Adulting and
artist
feeling
captures.
invincible.
That which the true artist captures. You can find it in the turning of the seasons. That which the true artist captures. In the way sand traits along a ridge. In the branch clusters of the creosote bush. Or the pattern of its leaves.
So would you like to
We try to
get
copy these
transported
patterns in
into
our
that
lives
age?
and our society.
But you don't
In the
get to
rhythms,
take
the
anything with
dances,
you,
the forms that comfort.
including your experiences and wisdom. You are just gonna get transported and yeah, you
There
are
is in all things a pattern
21 again.
that is part of
But
our
you
universe.
you are as ignorant
Symmetry, elegance,
as
and grace.
you were in 25,
Those
21.
qualities you find always in that which the true artist captures.
For me, I wouldn't accept
That
it.
which the
Like
true
I'm.
artist captures.
That makes me
You
think
can
like,
find
you know,
it in the
what if
turning
I
of the seasons.
want to learn all the shit I learned?
Which the true artist captures. Yet, it is impossible to see peril in the finding of ultimate perfection. Ultimate perfection. Ultimate perfection. Peril in the finding. It is clear that the ultimate pattern contains its own fixity. In such perfection, all things.
As long as I could come back to present day.
There is in all things a pattern that is part
So how
of
about
the
this?
universe.
You have one
It
ticket,
has symmetry, elegance,
one-way
and grace.
ticket, time travel.
Those qualities you find always
Are you gonna use
in
it
that
and
which the true artist
what
captures.
year? Future,
That which
past?
the true artist captures. You can find it in the turning of the seasons.
You
That
can only
which the
use it
true
once.
artist captures. The world is supported by four things: the learning of the wise, the justice of the great, the prayers of the righteous, and the valor of the brave. But all of these things are as nothing without a ruler who knows the art of ruling. Make that the science of your tradition. All life.
One way? No way, Kid wasn't planned. If I go back without future knowledge and experience, I'm not giving that up. One way, but you can take one person with you. But it's one way, right? You can't
The web
come
is a
back,
trap,
or you can't
like the
time
spider's
travel
web is a trap
to
that flies.
another.
Also,
Time.
the lovely embroideries are worn by women.
I mean,
as
dude,
traps for
imagine
men.
going like
From a certain point
going
of view,
into 2000 2700s.
and I want to consider the web
Like, will there
as
even
something playful.
an Earth?
See, there are so many ways of looking at it. And you will find that all these ways are right.
If I could go back and
What we
guarantee the
need is the
kiddos
fullness of the
buns.
view.
Really,
From a
you
certain
won't
point of view.
go extreme, like, you know,
Of the view.
like 100 or
From a certain point of view.
31, 28,
What we
something like
need is
that?
the fullness of the view. From a certain point of view. From a certain point of view. What we need is the fullness of the view. From a certain point of view. From a certain point of view. What we need is the fullness of the view. From a certain point of view. From a certain point of view. What we need is the fullness of the view. From a certain point of view. From a certain point of view. There are people, for example, who can see the web as a trap and get stuck with that. There are people to whom existence is simply hateful. They see it as nothing but a ghastly mistake. the Lord really erred when he created this world. Because he
I think so, but ask me again in a week.
Everything lives
I might say the
by eating
opposite.
something else. And what I'm doing is I'm describing a certain point of view.
I mean, going into
From a
future
certain point of view. I'm
feels
not
kind of
exactly
scary.
philosophizing, I'm describing a point of view. You can look
Because
at
you
life
don't
in
know if
such a way that
there is
the whole
even
thing is this ghastly mistake.
an Earth existing.
For example, there is no such thing as genuine
Like,
kindness.
imagine you are just you get teleported.
Everybody is really
You are in the same
pretending they're loving
physical
other people in order to
space,
get some advantage.
but you just teleport to a future
And indeed,
timeline.
there is a point
But
of
there is
view
no
in
Earth,
which
right? You are
certain
just
forms of paranoia
you just get
where
teleported into an
people
empty space.
don't seem to be real. They are mechanisms. And you can think that out
Or maybe,
quite
you know, there is no
intensely
life.
with a good deal of intelligence. After all, if you start from a
That would be
Darwinian or
so
Freudian basis
fucked up.
and see that man is a material machine and that the consciousness of man is simply a very involved and complicated form of chemistry, well, then this awful
I'm kind of a freewheeling dude. If I could take every option in a scenario, I would.
well, I'm alive.
Just experience what happens.
I have a heart. I love, I hate, I have problems. I feel. And you feel like saying, come on.
Man, I would love to
And you put
go
on
to medieval
like
times
that,
with an
really,
iPhone
you're just a set of teeth
and mess with people.
on the end of a tube.
Or just, you know,
What we need is the
just take a phone with you and a machine gun.
point of view. What we need is the fullness of the view from a certain point of view.
I think about that sort of thing all the
What
time.
we need is the fullness of the view from a certain point of view. From a certain point of view. What we need is the fullness of the view from a certain point of view. From a certain point of view.
People would probably declare you as Jesus or something like that. You would be a god? Yeah, literally.
And you've got a ganglion behind those teeth, which you call your brain or your alleged mind. And this thing is really basically there for two purposes. One, to be cunning enough to get something to eat, to put down the
Look
tube,
what
and the other,
Biff
you know what?
accomplished doing that sort of
Destroy the
thing in
and
the
everything else, you see, can be
1950s. Yeah.
construed as an elaborate, subtle way of pretending that that's not really what you want to do, but you do. But you put on a great show. Now, some people, according to this view, get mixed up. They so repress that what they really want to do is to eat and to screw. They get involved in higher things that are the masks for these activities, and think that that's the real purpose of life. And then they become what's called neurotic.
That was a Back to the Future
Because
reference.
they get involved in being pure camouflage.
I forgot the name. Is that
So that's what
actor
from the facts.
Eli?
Not looking at life, not looking at reality correctly.
The old guy? What was the name? Christopher Lloyd?
I'm dead serious about this. It's like
Man, Back to the Future
sort
was
yourself out.
so
Before you try to figure out the world. And
impactful
that's
on
the
me.
primary objective. That's your most important thing that you can do. Sort yourself out. Sort yourself out and marshal your arguments and put yourself in order so that when someone pushes you a little farther than you should go, you can say no. You can say no.
He's 85. Damn.
When someone pushes you a little farther
More life to him.
Say no. You can say no. Here's some fundamental rules about the shadow that you might.
Also, human lifespan is much longer right now,
So
right?
a lot
It's
of
like
times you're gonna have to negotiate on your
I
behalf.
read somewhere, I don't remember. Like in the ancient times, in the caveman times, you would live until like 22, something like that.
The fundamental rule is that you
Like
should certainly
25 is
yourself
a
in
lot
circle of people who
back in the
deserve
day, right?
respect and care, and that means that you have to be willing to advocate for
Have you seen
yourself,
Mr. Nobody?
and if you're willing to advocate
That
for yourself,
movie
then
is
you wanna do it.
messed with my head so much.
You have to, because otherwise you have to say yes, and then you can't negotiate.
It really made me think about that.
You can say no.
What was it? Mr. Nobody?
When someone pushes you
See
a
if I
little
can
farther than you should
pull
go,
it up.
you can say no. You can say no. And in order to say no, you have to have armed yourself with strategies and plans that enable you to say no. You can't be dependent. You have to be willing to stand your ground. There's
Am
not
I-
much
I'm-
evidence
am
that
I
sorts of atrocities
remembering
that
it's
characterize
wrong?
the
No, okay,
Soviet
okay, this is
Union
the one.
and Nazi Germany were the
one.
result of a few extremely corrupt people at the top of the hierarchy forcing everyone into slavery and then making them do terrible things.
I don't
I
even
think that's a very
understand how it's
and when you look at
it's rated
human
7.
capacity for destructiveness,
This is one of
if you don't
those
regard
movies
yourself
like
as one of the agents
I don't know,
of
maybe
that
it's just me,
destructiveness,
right?
or at least
But it made me question a lot of things.
from the union perspective at least, there's a high probability that you're part of the problem. You can say no. You can say no. When someone pushes you a little farther than you should go, you can say no.
Interesting, I added to the list. Oh, you haven't seen it? Nice.
If you familiarize yourself with the realm of human capability and then you regard yourself as human, what that means is that you have to regard yourself as a creature that's capable of what human beings
Yeah,
are
also
capable of.
fasten your emotional seatbelt before watching it.
And human beings are capable of a lot of things. And some of them are absolutely wonderful. I mean, there's nothing more remarkable than a human being on the planet. People can do amazing things, but the downside of that is that we can do absolutely horrible things.
Damn,
It's
I'm-
not obvious
I
that
again
only
depleted
the
all
powerful
my
people can do
references.
that it's not reasonable to
Yeah,
assume.
okay, I'm gonna take a break. And then do some slower studies. Alright, so be right back.
When someone pushes you a little farther than you should go, you can say no. You can say no. New Age thinkers tell you things like follow your bliss and you'll encounter utopia, but that isn't what the Jungians, especially Jung, said about his process of individuation at all. He said that if you follow what's meaningful and you do it honestly, it will take you somewhere you really do not want to go. And until you go there, you'll never be able to climb up higher on the other side.
Better than alcohol, man. Yeah, and the funny thing is, if you're trying to stop drinking, you need something better than alcohol. And alcohol's pretty good. So you better find something a lot better, man. Esteemable people do esteemable things. It's like, yeah, well, you want to figure out something that you're doing with your life that's worth not getting drunk and screwing up. You might say, well, why do people drink too much? If you like alcohol, that's a stupid question. Why do people drink too much? Well, because it's great. So why stop? Well, you do stupid things when you're drunk. You hurt yourself, you compromise your health. It's really hard on the people around you. You tend to turn into a liar, and it screws up your life. it's all prohibition in some sense. What's better is, no, you need an adventure, man. Alcohol is an interesting drug. Alcohol, it's a hell of a drug. Alcohol, it's a great drug. But the problem is, it's a great drug. No, you need an adventure, man. You need to get out there and have something to do, something worth waking up for. That's the substitute for the addiction. Actually, the addiction is the substitute for that, if truth be known. Alcohol really is a good drug for coping with anxiety. It makes you more extroverted and enthusiastic, more full of positive emotion. And the second thing it does is reduce anxiety. It's a great drug. But the problem is, it's a great drug. For the moment, alcohol is an interesting drug. Alcohol, it's a hell of a drug. Alcohol, it's a great drug. But the problem is, it's a great drug. Alcohol is an interesting drug because it actually doesn't make people stupid. People who are drunk will take far more risk. And you might say, well, that's because they're too stupid to understand the risk. It's like, no, they're not. If you ask them about the risk when they're drunk, they can outline it perfectly. What it stops them from doing is caring about the risk. That's why you can drive around drunk at high speed in a car, which is a really stupid thing to do. It's fun, like so many things. It's like jumping off a cliff. I'm flying! True until the last 1/10 of a second. It's like then you're not flying, man. Alcohol is an interesting drug. Alcohol, it's a hell of a drug. Alcohol, it's a great drug. But the problem is, it's a great drug. Alcohol is an interesting drug. Alcohol, it's a hell of a drug. Alcohol, it's a great drug. But the problem is, there's consequences.
Overall, capitalism is intrinsic to the human species. Capitalism is not something we invented. Capitalism is not even something we discovered. It is innate to us in every exchange that we have. When you and I exchange information, I want some information back from you, I give you information, you give me information. If we weren't having a good information exchange, you go talk to somebody else. So the notion of exchange and keeping track of credits and debits, this is built into us as flexible social animals. We are the only animals in the animal kingdom that cooperate across genetic boundaries. Most animals don't even cooperate. But when they do, they cooperate only in packs where they co-evolve together and they share blood, so they have some shared interest. Humans don't have that.
Alright.
Humans don't have that.
We have...
I can cooperate with you guys. One of you is a Serbian, the other one is a Persian by origin,
Roldan
Indian
Kits.
by origin. We have very little blood in common, basically none. But we still cooperate. And what lets us cooperate? It's because we can keep track of debits and credits. Who put in how much work, who contributed how much. That's all free market capitalism is. So I strongly believe that it is innate to the human species, and we are going to create more and more wealth and abundance for everybody. Everybody can be wealthy, everybody can be retired, everybody can be successful. It is merely a question of education and desire. You have to want it. Everybody can be wealthy, everybody can be retired, everybody can be successful. It is merely a question of education and desire. You have to want it. If you don't want it, that's fine, then you opt out of the game. But don't try and put down the people who are playing the game. Who are playing the game. Because that's the game that keeps you in a comfortable, warm bed at night. That's the game that keeps a roof over your head. That's the game that keeps your supermarket stocked. That's the game that keeps the iPhone buzzing in your pocket. It is a beautiful game that is worth playing ethically, rationally, morally, socially for the human race, and it's going to continue to make us all richer and richer until we have massive wealth creation for anybody who wants it. The U.S. is a very popular country for immigrants because it's the American dream. Anyone can come here, be poor, and then work really hard and make money and get wealthy. The definition of wealth is different for different people. A first world citizen's definition of wealth might be, oh, I have to make millions of dollars and I'm completely done. Whereas to a third world poor immigrant just entering the country, and we were poor immigrants who came here when I was fairly young, wealth may just be a much lower number. It may just be like I don't have to work a manual labor job for the rest of my life that I don't want to work. But groups that despise it will essentially bring the entire group down to that level. If you get too many takers and not enough makers, society falls apart. Everybody can be wealthy, everybody can be retired, everybody can be successful. It is merely a question of education and desire. You have to want it. Everybody can be wealthy, everybody can be retired, everybody can be successful. It is merely a question of education and desire. You have to want it. You end up with a communist country. Look at Venezuela, right? They were so busy taking and dividing and reallocating that people are literally starving in the streets and losing kilograms of body weight every year just through sheer starvation. Another way to think about it is imagine an organism that has too many parasites. You actually need some small number of parasites to stay healthy, and you need a lot of symbiotes, like all the mitochondria in all of our cells that help us respirate and burn oxygen. These are symbiotes that help us survive. We couldn't survive without them. But to me, those are partners in the wealth creation that creates the human body. But if you just were filled with parasites that were purely parasitical, you would die. You would die. Any organism can only withstand a small number of parasites. And when the parasitic element gets too far out of control, you die. Everybody can be wealthy, everybody can be retired, everybody can be successful. It is merely a question of education and desire. You have to want it. Everybody can be wealthy, everybody can be retired, everybody can be successful. It is merely a question of education and desire. You have to want it. I'm talking about ethical wealth creation. I'm not talking about monopolies. I'm not talking about crony capitalism. I'm not talking about mispriced externalities like the environment. I'm talking about free minds and free markets, small-scale exchange between humans that's voluntary and doesn't have an outsized impact on others. But I think that kind of wealth creation, if a society does not respect it, if a group does not respect it, that society will plunge into ruin and darkness.
Akira. He's got clout.
How do I deal with setbacks, failures, delays, defeat, or other disasters?
I actually have a fairly simple way of dealing with these situations. It is actually one word to deal with all those situations. And that is good. And this is actually something that one of my guys that worked for me pointed out to me. He would call me up or pull me aside with some major problem, some issue that was going on. And he'd say, boss, we got this and that, the other thing. And I'd look at him and I'd say, good. One day he was telling me about some issue that he was having. He said, I already know what you're going to say. And I said, well, what am I going to say? He said, you're going to say good. 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 You're going to say good. You're going to say good. You're going to say good. Good. So that's what you always say. When something is wrong and going bad, you always just look at me and say, good. Good. And I said, well, yeah. And I mean it. And that is how I feel. When things are going bad, there's going to be some good that's going to come from it. Oh, mission got canceled? Good. We can focus on another one. Didn't get the new high-speed gear we wanted? Good. We can keep it simple. Didn't get promoted? Good. More time to get better. Didn't get funded? Good. We own more of the company. Didn't get the job you wanted? Good. You can get more experience and build a better resume. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. 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 You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. Good. Got injured. Got injured. Sprained my ankle. Good. Needed a break from training. Got tapped out. Good. It's better to tap in training than to tap out on the street. Got beat. Good. You learned. Unexpected problems. Good. We have the opportunity to figure out a solution. And that's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. When things are going bad, don't get all bummed out. Don't get startled. Don't get frustrated. No. You just look at the issue and you say, good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. 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 You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. Good. I don't mean to say something that's all cliche. I don't mean to sound like Mr. Positive. Find the positive, but do that. Focus on the good. Focus on the good. Take that issue, take that problem, take that issue, take that problem, and make it something good. Make it something good. And bring that attitude to your team. Do. You go forward. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. 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 You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. Good. And lastly, I'd like to close this out. If you can say the word good, guess what? It means you're still alive. It means you're still breathing. And if you're still breathing, well then hell, you still got some fight left in you. So get up, dust off, reload, recalibrate, re-engage, go out on the attack. And that right there is about as good as it gets.
recently I've been trying to get a little bit more into finding just motivation, because then at least I'm like active in each. Been trying to get more active into my day each day.
Akira.
Just like, okay, I want to do this.
I call that going on offense. Instead of being on defense, you just go on offense. I'm gonna make some stuff happen. That's a good attitude when you think about thinking about doing it. Just go do it. Don't even waste time thinking about doing it. Just go do it. Don't even waste time thinking about doing it. Just go do it. Don't even waste time thinking about doing it. Just go do it. Thinking about doing it. Just go do it. Thinking about doing it. Just go do it. Don't even waste time. Just go do it.
Yeah.
Don't even waste time thinking about even what you're gonna do at the gym. Just go to the gym and figure it out when you get there. I always tell people you can't sit around and wait until you're motivated to do something. If you sit around waiting until you're motivated to do something, who knows when that's gonna come? It may come, but it may not come. And it may only come twice a week. And if it's only coming twice a week, that's a lot less than you actually need. So you don't wait. You don't wait. You just put the discipline on. Thinking about doing it, just go do it. Don't even waste time. Thinking about doing it, just go do it. Don't even waste time. Thinking about doing it, just go do it. Thinking about doing it, just go do it. Thinking about doing it, just go do it. Don't even waste time. The crazy thing is speaking of emotional memory, you know when you get done, you're gonna feel better. Like that's a guarantee. If you go to the gym, you get your workout in, or you do whatever thing you know you're supposed to do, it's a guarantee that when you get done, you're gonna feel better. So remember that emotion, right? And put that thing into play so that you can actually get it done the way you're supposed to. Thinking about doing it, just go do it. Don't even waste time. You thinking about doing it, just go do it. Don't even waste time. You thinking about doing it, just go do it. Thinking about doing it, just go do it. Thinking about doing it, just go do it. Don't even waste time. Thinking about doing it, just go do it. Don't even waste time. Thinking about doing it, just go do it. Don't even waste time. Thinking about doing it, just go do it. Thinking about doing it, just go do it. Thinking about doing it, just go do it. Don't even waste time.
He's got clout.
How do I deal with setbacks, failures, delays, defeat, or other disasters?
I actually have a fairly simple way of dealing with these situations. It is actually one word to deal with all those situations. And that is good. And this is actually something that one of my guys that worked for me pointed out to me. He would call me up or pull me aside with some major problem, some issue that was going on. And he'd say, boss, we got this and that and the other thing. And I'd look at him and I'd say, good. One day he was telling me about some issue that he was having. He said, I already know what you're going to say. And I said, well, what am I going to say? He said, you're going to say good. 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 You're going to say good. You're going to say good. You're going to say good. Good. So that's what you always say. When something is wrong and going bad, you always just look at me and say, good. Good. And I said, well, yeah. And I mean it. And that is how I feel. When things are going bad, there's going to be some good that's going to come from it. Oh, mission got canceled? Good. We can focus on another one. Didn't get the new high-speed gear we wanted? Good. We can keep it simple. Didn't get promoted? Good. More time to get better. Didn't get funded? Good. We own more of the company. Didn't get the job you wanted? Good. You can get more experience and build a better resume. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. 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 You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. Good. Got injured. Got injured. Sprained my ankle. Good. Needed a break from training. Got tapped out. Good. It's better to tap in training than to tap out on the street. Got beat. Good. You learned. Unexpected problems. Good. We have the opportunity to figure out a solution. And that's it. That's it. When things are going bad, don't get all bummed out, don't get startled, don't get frustrated. No. You just look at the issue and you say, good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. 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 You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. Good. I don't mean to say something that's all cliche. I don't mean to sound like Mr. Positive. Find the positive, but do that. Do that. Focus on the good. Focus on the good. Take that issue, take that problem, take that issue, take that problem, and make it something good. Make it something good. And bring that attitude to your team. Do. You go forward. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. 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 You're gonna say good. You're gonna say good. this out. If you can say the word good, guess what? It means you're still alive. It means you're still breathing. And if you're still breathing, well now, you still got some fight left in you. So get up, dust off, reload, recalibrate, re-engage, go out on the attack. And that right there is about as good as it gets.
The thing is that we have been educated to use our minds in a certain way, a way that ignores or screens out the fact that every one of us is an aperture through which the whole cosmos looks out. Every one of us is an aperture through which the whole cosmos looks out. You see, it's as if you had a light covered with a black ball, and in this ball were pinholes. And each pinhole is an aperture through which the light comes out. So in that way, every one of us is actually a pinhole through which the fundamental light, that is the existence itself, looks out. Only the game we're playing is not to know this. To be only that little hole, which we call me, my ego, my specific John Jones, or whatever. Every one of us is an aperture through which the whole cosmos looks out. Every one of us is an aperture through which the whole cosmos looks out. If we can maintain at the same time the sense of being this specific John Jones with his role in life, or whatever, and know also underneath this that we are the whole works, you get a very marvelous and agreeable arrangement. A most remarkable harmoniousness. I mean, it gives one's life a great sense of joy and exuberance if you can carry on these two things at once. If you, in other words, you know that all the serious predicaments of life are a game. Every one of us is an aperture through which the whole cosmos looks out. Every one of us is an aperture through which the whole cosmos looks out.
Time for me to head out. Enjoy the rest of the stream. Thanks, dude. Happy birthday. Enjoy the celebration.
I should make it clear, I don't believe this stuff. I find believing in these high-flown, complicated synthetic systems to come off sort of like pathology. So I entertain ideas, but I don't give belief over. What I do, I'm a meme spreader. What I do, I'm a meme spreader. What I do, I'm a meme spreader. Meme spreader. A meme replicator. Naturally, this question arose in our group. Why us? Why us? Why are the aliens revealing the unified field theory of space and time to us? And the mushroom just replied without hesitation. Because you don't believe in anything. And that apparently is what's required. Do you all know that Van Morrison song about no guru, no method, no teacher, just you and me and nature in the garden? I think that's actually where it's at. So what I do, I'm a meme spreader. What I do, I'm a meme spreader. What I do, I'm a meme spreader. Meme spreader. A meme replicator. A meme is a terrible thing to wait. A meme is a terrible thing to wait. Meme is a terrible thing to wait. And the purpose of these teaching things is to turn you into fellow replicators of the meme. Of the meme. You should go forth and tell other people, tell other people, tell other people, go forth and tell other people, tell other people, tell other people, and copy it into their head, copy it into their head, copy it into their head, and this meme will spread. So what I do, I'm a meme spreader. What I do, I'm a meme spreader. What I do, I'm a meme spreader. Meme spreader. A meme replicator. Because we cannot evolve faster than our language. The edge of being is the edge of meaning. And somehow we have to push the edge of meaning. We have to extend it. Because if we appear to be confronted by insoluble problems, it's because we have the wrong language for dealing with this problem. You learn that with computers. Certain languages are good for certain kinds of problems. We have to constantly evolve language and push it forward. So what I do, I'm a meme spreader. What I do, I'm a meme spreader. What I do, I'm a meme spreader. Meme spreader. A meme replicator.
I remember one time I was driving through Arizona and I saw one of those giant earth-moving machines roaring along the road at about 35 miles an hour with what looked like 20 tons of dirt in it. A tremendous, incredible machine. And there was a little man perched way up on top with the wheel in his hands guiding it. And as I drove along, I was struck by the similarity of that machine to the human mind. Just suppose you're sitting at the controls of such a vast source of energy. Are you going to sit back and fold your arms and let it run itself into a ditch? Or are you going to keep both hands firmly on the wheel and control and direct this power to a specific worthwhile purpose? It's up to you. You're in the driver's seat. We must control our thinking. We must control our thinking. It's up to you. You're in the driver's seat. We must control our thinking. The very law that gives us success is a two-edged sword. The same rule that can lead a man to a life of success, wealth, happiness, and all the things he's ever dreamed of for himself and his family, that very same law can lead him into the gutter. It's all in how he uses it, for good or for bad. This is the strangest secret in the world. For good or for bad. This is the strangest secret in the world. We must control our thinking. We must control our thinking. It's up to you. You're in the driver's seat. We must control our thinking. Now, why do I say it's strange and why do I call it a secret? Actually, it isn't a secret at all. It was first promulgated by some of the earliest wise men, and it appears again and again throughout the Bible. But very few people have learned it, understand it. That's why it's strange, and why, for some equally strange reason, it virtually remains a secret. I believe that you could go out and walk down the main street of your town and ask one man after another what the secret of success is, and you probably wouldn't run into one man in a month who could tell you. Now, this information is enormously valuable to us if we really understand it and apply it. It's valuable to us not only for our own lives, but the lives of those around us, our family, employees, associates, and friends. Life should be an exciting adventure. It should never be a bore. A man should live fully, be alive. He should be glad to get out of bed in the morning. He should be doing a job he likes to do because he does it well. We must control our thinking. We must control our thinking. It's up to you. You're in the driver's seat. We must control our thinking. Make a speech, the editor-in-chief of the Toledo Daily Blade. And as he concluded his speech, he said something that I've never forgotten. He said something like this: my years in the newspaper business have convinced me of several things. Among them, that people are basically good, and that we came from someplace, and we're going someplace. So we should make our time here an exciting adventure. The architect of the universe didn't build a stairway leading nowhere, and the greatest teacher of all from the plains of Galilee gave us the secret time and time again. As ye believe, so shall it be done unto you. As ye believe, so shall it be done unto you. As ye believe, so shall it be done unto you. As ye believe, so shall it be done unto you. As ye believe, so shall it be done unto you. As ye believe, so shall it be done unto you. As ye believe, so shall it be done unto you. As ye believe, so shall it be done unto you.
Stop drifting from the path. You never gotta read the notebooks all about acts. Arrange your Romans and Greeks and just forget about that. Stack a picture be saving for old age, cause you ain't getting to that. Sprint for the finish, right off your idle hopes. And if you care it's all for yourself then be the one save you while you still can. They don't realize how much is included in stealing, sewing, buying, resting, seeing some business, not with the eyes, but with another kind of sight. They don't realize how much is included in stealing, sewing, buying, resting, seeing some business, not with the eyes, but with another kind of sight. So stop drifting from the path. You're never gonna read the notebooks all about the acts. Ancient Romans and Greeks and just forget about that. Stack a picture be saving for old age, cause you ain't getting to that. Sprint for the finish, right off your idle hopes. And if you care it's all for yourself then be your own savior while you still can. If you care it's all for yourself then be your own savior while you still can. If you care it's all for yourself then be your own savior while you still can. If you care it's all for yourself then be your own savior while you still can. If you care it's all for yourself then be your own savior while you still can. 1, 2, 3. Stop drifting from the path. You're never gonna read the notebooks all about the acts. Ancient Romans and Greeks and just forget about that. Stack a picture be saving for old age, cause you ain't getting to that. Sprint for the finish, right off your idle hopes. And if you care it's all for yourself then be your own savior while you still can.
Don't partner with cynics and pessimists. Their beliefs are self-fulfilling.
Essentially, to create things, you have to be a rational optimist. Rational in the sense that you have to see the world for what it really is, and yet you have to be optimistic about your own capabilities and your ability to get things done. We all know people who are consistently pessimistic, who will shoot down everything. Everyone in their life has like the helpful, critical guy, right? He thinks he's being helpful, but he's actually being critical, and he's a downer on everything. That person will not only never do anything great in their lives, they'll prevent other people around them from doing something great. They think their job is to shoot holes in things. And it's okay to shoot holes in things as long as you come up with a solution. There's also the classic military line, either lead, follow, or get out of the way.
These people want a fourth option where they don't want to lead, they don't want to follow, but they don't want to get out of the way. They want to tell you why the thing's not going to work. And all the really successful people I know have a very strong action bias. They just do things. The easiest way to figure out if something's viable or not is by doing it. So if you want to be successful in life, creating wealth or having good relationships or even being happy, you need to have an action bias towards getting what you want. And you have to be optimistic about it. You've got one life on this planet. Why not try to build something big? You've got one life on this planet. Why not try to build something big? This is the beauty of Elon Musk and why I think he inspires so many people. It's just that he takes on really, really big, audacious tasks, and he provides an example for people to think big. Think big. And it takes a lot of work to build even small things. I don't think the corner grocery store owner is working any less hard than Elon Musk or pouring any less sweat and toil into it. Maybe even more. But for whatever reason, education, circumstance, they didn't get the chance to think as big, so the outcome's not as big. So it's just better to think big, obviously rationally within your means to stay optimistic. The cynics and the pessimists, what they're really saying, they're basically saying, I've given up, I don't think I can do anything. And so the world to me just looks like a world where nobody can do anything. And so why should you go do something? Because if you fail, then I'm right, which is great. But if you succeed, then you just make me look bad. You've got one life on this planet. Why not try to build something big? You've got one life on this planet. Why not try to build something big? This is the beauty of Elon Musk.
I'd rather be optimistic and wrong than pessimistic and right. Than pessimistic and right. Than pessimistic and right. I'd rather be optimistic and wrong than pessimistic and right. Than pessimistic and right. Than pessimistic and right.
There's a completely rational frame on why you should be an optimist. Historically, if you go back 2,000 years, 5,000 years, 10,000 years, two people are wandering through the jungle, they hear a tiger, one's an optimist who says, oh, it's not headed our way. The other one says, I'm a pessimist, I'm out of here. And the pessimist runs and survives, and the optimist gets eaten. So we're descended from pessimists. We're genetically hardwired to be pessimists. But modern society is far, far safer. There are no tigers wandering down the street. It's very unlikely that you will end up in total ruin, although you should avoid total ruin. Much more likely, the upside is unlimited and the downside is limited. Adapting for modern society means overriding your pessimism and taking slightly irrationally optimistic bets because the upside is unlimited. If you start the next SpaceX or Tesla or Uber, you can make billions of dollars of value for society and for yourself and change the world. And if you fail, what's the big deal? You lost a few $1 million of investor money and they've got plenty more, and that's the bet they take, the chances that you will succeed. It made sense to be pessimistic in the past. It makes sense to be optimistic today, especially if you're educated and living in a first world country. The one thing you have to avoid is the risk of ruin. Ruin means stay out of jail, so don't do anything that's illegal. Stay out of total catastrophic loss. Stay out of things that can be physically dangerous, hurt your body. You have to watch your health, and stay out of things that can cause you to lose all of your capital, all of your savings. So don't gamble everything at one go. You take rationally optimistic bets with big upside. You've got one life on this planet. Why not try to build something big? You've got one life on this planet. Why not try to build something big? You've got one life on this planet. Why not try to build something big? You've got one life on this planet. Why not try to build something big? This is the beauty of Elon Musk.
I'd rather be optimistic and wrong than pessimistic and right. Than pessimistic and right. Than pessimistic and right. I'd rather be optimistic and wrong than pessimistic and right. Than pessimistic and right. Than pessimistic and right.
Silicon Valley reality has learned that the upside is so great that you never look down on the Slavy kid who's wearing a hoodie and has like coffee at his shoes and just looks like a Slav, because you don't know if he's going to be the next Mark Zuckerberg or the next Reid Hoffman. So you got to treat everybody with respect. You got to look up to every possibility and opportunity, because the upside is so unlimited and the downside is so limited in the modern world.
We're going to go back to Boston.
Okay.
Okay. So you said that's really where things started for you. So you moved there when you were 13. First of all, like, what kind of kid were you in school?
If ADD is real, I certainly had it, and I was very, very interested in what I was interested in. I was very uninterested in people telling me what to do. Essentially couldn't wait to get out of school. But I would excel at things that I had interest in. Initially it was art. I wanted to be a comic book illustrator until I really got into martial arts. And martial arts became the focus of my life. Around 14, 15 years old, that's when I really became massively obsessed. And that was really the first thing that I ever did where I really didn't feel like a loser. Like I really felt like, oh, I actually have some talent. I actually can be exceptional. It was like something, because I grew up constantly moving, didn't really have a lot of friends. I would be new in this town. I'd get picked on. I wasn't a big kid. And there was a lot of issues with that psychologically. I didn't like being afraid of other kids. I didn't like not knowing what to do if I ran into kids. They were going to bully me and pick on me. Martial arts changed that 180 degrees. And then I became someone who I would be afraid of. I became the opposite of what I was. And then I became someone who I would be afraid of. I became the opposite of what I was. So what I was someone who was terrified of conflict, didn't know what to do. And what I became was a Taekwondo champion. I became a martial arts champion. I knew how to fight.
How did it come about?
It was very fortunate. I'd done a little bit of martial arts training. Then one day I was in Boston for a Red Sox game. And as I was walking home to the train station, I decided to go check out the Jae-Hun Kim Taekwondo Institute. It was right there. So I went up the stairs, and as I was walking up the stairs, a guy named John Lee was training. I heard this crazy sound. What it turned out to be this man kicking this bag and slamming his heel into this bag and having the chain snap and rattle and thud of his heel slamming into this leather bag. I got up there and I watched this guy work out. I couldn't believe a person could do that. I'd never seen anybody kick something so hard in real life. Anybody that had such incredible martial arts skill like this guy did, John Lee, who became a mentor of mine. That changed everything. I was there the next day. I talked to them. They gave me a brochure and a pamphlet. I was probably there every day of my life until I was 22 years old. Just completely by luck, wandered into one of the best schools in the world for Taekwondo. I just got lucky. I got really, really, really lucky. I became someone who I would be afraid of. I became the opposite of what I was. And then I became someone who I would be afraid of. I became the opposite of what I was. I had keys pretty quickly. Right away, my instructor recognized that I was pretty obsessed and I was physically pretty talented. So he had me teaching classes instead of paying. One of the best ways for someone to get good at martial arts is actually to teach. You actually refine your technique. You think about it more. I was 14 or 15 by the time I got to that school. I had my black belt by the time I was 17, and I was competing in the adult division by then. I won the state championship when I was 18, and I won it every year from then until I stopped. Luckily, with high school, kids heard about it right away. One of the kids you go to school with is flying all over the country, kicking people in the head. They just avoided me. People avoided me. Junior and senior year, I'd already become this weird kid that was obsessed with martial arts. I spent most of my life, from the time I was 15 till I was 21, training and competing. I probably fought over 100 times, 100% singular, uniquely singular, but I avoided most of the pitfalls, high school partying and all that stuff. I didn't do that because I was scared of getting hurt. I was scared if I showed up for training hungover that I'd get beat up. I was scared of anything that would take even a tiny bit away from my performance as a fighter because I was obsessed with it. I became someone who I would be afraid of. You know, I became the opposite of what I was. And then I became someone who I would be afraid of. You know, I became the opposite of what I was.
One of the very great things that C.G. Jung contributed to mankind's understanding was the concept of the shadow. That everybody has a shadow, and that the main task of the psychotherapist is to do what he called to integrate the evil, to, as it were, put the devil in us in its proper function. Because you see, it's always the devil, the unacknowledged one, the outcast, the scapegoat, the bastard, the bad guy, you see, the black sheep of the family. It's always from that point, what we could call the fly in the ointment, you see, that generation comes. In other words, in the same way as in the drama, to have the play, it's necessary to introduce a villain. It's necessary to introduce a certain element of trouble. So, in the whole scheme of life, there has to be the shadow. The shadow. The bastard, the bad guy, the black sheep of the family. The shadow. Integrate the evil. Integrate the evil. The shadow. The bastard, the bad guy, the black sheep of the family. The shadow. Everybody has a shadow, because without the shadow there can't be the substance. So this is why there is a very strange association between crime and all naughty things and holiness. You see, holiness is way beyond being good. Good people aren't necessarily holy people. A holy person is one who is whole, who has, as it were, reconciled his opposites. And so there's always something slightly scary about holy people. And other people react to them in very strange ways. They can't make up their minds whether they're saints or devils. So So holy people have, throughout history, always created a great deal of trouble, along with their creative results. Take Jesus, for example. Trouble that Jesus created is absolutely incalculable. Think of the Crusades, the Inquisition, the heaven only knows what's gone on in the name of Jesus. Freud's a big troublemaker, as well as a great healer, you see. It all goes together. The shadow. The bastard, the bad guy, the black sheep of the family. The shadow. Integrate the evil. Integrate the evil. The shadow. The bastard, the bad guy, the black sheep of the family. The shadow. Everybody has a shadow, because without the shadow there can't be the substance. So the holy person is scary, because he is like the earthquakes, or better still, he's like the ocean. See the ocean on a lovely sunny day, you can say, oh, isn't that gorgeous? And you can go into it and relax and float around. But boy, when the storm comes, does that thing get mad? It's terrifying. So there is in us the ocean, you see? And Jung felt that the whole point was to bring the two together by a kind of fantastic honesty, to penetrate one's own motivations to the depths.
Now, the third function of a mythological tradition is to validate and maintain a certain moral order. Now, these moral orders greatly differ from one society to another. For example, the requirements of a primitive hunting community are very, very different from the primitive planting community. What is required of the young men and women is in each case quite different. Likewise, in a complex society of differentiated tasks with professional doctors, medical men, astronomers, scientists, governing people, trading people, all of these coordinated in one society, we have a quite different social problem, quite different moral problem from that of a simple primitive community. The individual must be shaped. He must be made to react in the way that culture wants. The individual must be shaped. He must be made to react in the way that culture wants. And so there is this variation from society to society in terms of the social orders. Now, some of these social orders are extremely ruthless and fierce in their requirements and extremely narrow in their demands. Individuals may be thus divorced, separated, so to say, from their own nature. Read some of the descriptions in the anthropological works of the primitive initiation rites. What is done to the young people in some primitive societies in order to test their courage, in order to integrate them in the social group. Now, most societies are extremely dogmatic and fierce in their integration of the individual. The individual is born as a separate entity. He is carved up, so to say, and made to fit into a pattern that the society requires. It doesn't require a total man. It requires a part man. Not an individual, but a individual. Someone who has been divided up and put into a notch. The individual must be shaped. He must be made to react in the way that that culture wants. The individual must be shaped. He must be made to react in the way that that culture wants. This happens in the most primitive societies already. Nature produces this wonderfully rich being, full of possibilities. The society, and you cannot blame society, it requires a certain specific limited type. It's got to have that, otherwise it can't exist. And so the individual is, so to say, carved into shape. Scarified, his teeth knocked out, his body is changed so that he'll know, I'm a member of this group, not that group. The individual must be shaped. He must be made to react in the way that that culture wants. The individual must be shaped. He must be made to react in the way that that culture wants.
Alright guys, I think I'm gonna call it for today. Thanks a lot for hanging out, and I'll see you next time.